6 or 8/0 brown. I don't usually use brown, so you're gonna have to put up with my red. Can you guys see that?
I use red too.
Can you guys see the red thread?
I'd say yellow.
Okay, it's brown. TMC 100, but you want a size 14. 12 if you got it, because yeah.
Everybody's got
That's all right. Everybody's got those.
That looks like a 12 you got there.
Yeah, well, I encourage starting off big and then working your way down. The most effective flies are size 14 through 18 on this. Okay, this is supposed to be a light dun, but what you get is a dark olive. If you look at this, chunk of Zelon here, this is actually way too big. Okay, it's too much. What you're going to need is only about half of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a section about what I need, like that, and then I'm going to divide it in half.
Dean, do you have Zelon? I'm coming.
And you can hardly see it, but that's about all you need. Alright? So what I do first is coat your whole shank from hook eye to the bend, or to the bar actually, with thread. And then bring your thread all the way back up to the hook eye and keep it about 2 hook eye spaces back. I want to clip it blunt, and I want to tie it in right there.
On the top?
On the top. Hold it up on top while you wrap it all the way to the back so that the thread is just over the barb. Okay. Now if you look at it, you're going to see that it sticks out straight. That's the last thing I want on this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it like this, and with the edge of the scissor, a sharp scissor, I'm going to, you want to shave it back and forth so that you end up with kind of a rough curlicue type of a. Now what you want to do is you want to take some olive brown dubbing, medium to dark would be fine. It's basically this kind of stuff right here. The synthetic stuff works best. Now there's various different kinds of dubbing. There's rabbit fur dubbing, which you can dub on pretty easily. There's synthetic that has long fibers, and there's synthetic that has short fibers. The synthetic with short fibers will dub on easier than the stuff with long fibers. If you have the long fibered stuff, you might want to tease out a little tip of it, tie it in, and then twist it around your thread at that point. If you have the short fibered stuff like this, then what you can do is just put it on the, pinch off a little bit at a time, and twist it onto the thread just like that. You want to put on about 1.25 inches to about 1.5 inches. Okay. So once you got that on, start your dubbing and work it up to about the halfway mark. Okay. You only want the dubbing to go about halfway up the hook shank. This is the long fibered synthetic dubbing. Okay, you see that? It's got a long fiber on it, and it doesn't dub as well as short fibered stuff does. So on this kind of material, what you want to do is you want to sort of get a little tip of it, cut it blunt, tie in the tip, pull it around the hook, and then twist it around the thread like this, rather than dub
Spin it at the
it.
bottom of the dubbing,
Yep,
is that correct?
spin it right at the bottom down here. And what that does is it wraps it around and coats.
What color is that?
This is a medium olive.
So it's just the same thing all the way through, basically.
Yeah,
So we're doing it again, the second time?
You have a
Yeah.
medium olive,
this is, look at the difference though. The reason there's two different colors is because Ralph Cutter believes that the idea of having two different colors gives the fly more an illusion of life. And I make this one just a little bit thicker. I make the thorax just a little bit thicker than I do the abdomen portion. It's purposely built at two different colors. Now you want to end up where you're about 2 hook eyes space behind there. Maybe more. The next thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a grizzly hackle. If this is a size 14 hook, you want a size 14 or maybe just a little bit larger. And let me show you how to gauge the proper hackle for your hook. What you do when you gauge the proper hackle size for your hook is you go around the hook like this, and you want that hackle to be about 1.5 times the length of the gape. Okay? You want that hackle to be about 1.5 times the depth of the gape. So once you've got your hackle, now what you want to do is you want to prepare the hackle. Once you get it sized where you want it, then what you want to do is clip off all of the fluff. You want to clip off this junky part right here. You want to clip off the junky part, and you end up with something like this. Then what I like to do is I like to pull it down and clip off a few of the barbs so that I have a little piece of rough stem to tie down. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. No way is more correct than the other. I like to tie mine in with the hackle barbs facing down. If you tie it with the hackle barbs cupped up like this, what you'll get is a fly that floats a little deeper in the water surface. Okay. The other thing that you can change is which way you actually wrap the hackle. You can wrap it clockwise or you can wrap it counterclockwise. No right way, no wrong way on this. All right. I like to wrap mine counterclockwise, and I will put it on top just like this, so that it sits flat with the shiny side on the outside, on the top. Either way works. It just depends on how you want your fly to sit. Okay, the next step calls for something called yearling elk.
Yeah.
And what that means, it's a immature elk, one that's only in its first year. And I don't believe I have any of that stuff, but this deer hair will work.
bleached.
Yep, bleached deer hair will work also, but it has to be fairly fine. That's good. That's good stuff. That's all right. This is good enough. This will work. Okay. It's a very fine deer hair. It's not real coarse. This one will flare a little bit more than probably elk will. I'm not real sure, but basically what you're looking for is a really small clump on this one. Nowhere near pencil size. This stuff is pretty well sized to where they're all about the same length. It just needs a little bit of stacking, but it's close enough that you don't need to stack it at all. What you do is you have just a little short piece, very light amount, and what's going to happen is I have more than I want right here. What's going to happen when I pull the tips and start to pull out the under fur, if I don't get a lot of the smaller pieces out, then I'll just pull out some of these material, and what I actually want to end up with is a small chunk of deer hair that's, when pinched, a little bit less than the width of the hook gap. And you can see I have maybe just a little bit too much there. So right about there. Okay? I'm going to show you how to put that on there after it's stacked.
That might be a little more coarse then. If we want news and if something.
Make sure that the tips are facing backwards. When you pinch it like this, it's the size of the hook gap or less. Okay, you don't want a whole lot of wing on this thing. Now, when you measure it, you want your thread right at the very end of the body. There, about 2 hook eye gaps back, and you want to measure the wing so that it's just past the bend of the hook. Okay, just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch with my fingers here, fingers, put a loose wrap, another one on top of there, and pinch down on it and pull. Alright? This is another one of those. You have to be careful not to pull too hard and break your thread. Okay? Okay, right after you get that tied in, pull the hair butts back. And clip it fairly short. Not so short that it's down to the hook. You want to leave just a little bit of a head, almost like tying an elk hair caddis. A lot of you have tied those. You want to leave enough of the head, and I probably should have left that stuff on there because you're going to want to wrap the hackle next, and you have to make sure that it goes under. Okay. All right. And I'll put 3 wraps on there. Just make sure it goes over the eye.
Is it going around the hook too?
No, it's under the head and under the wing.
Under the head and under the wing. Once you get that on there, put a wrap around the feather, and then put a half hitch on the end of it. And that'll just hold it in place. What I like to do is I like to put a double half hitch on there on my second wrap. And that will hold it in place. With a little bit of head cement, you're finished. Anytime there's caddis coming off, just all you have to do is when you tie this fly, just match the size. Cast it out there and you're into fish.